The year 1136. The location, the southwest of England. The hordes of the Norman army marches upon the stronghold of Rougemount Castle. The first Earl of Devon, Baldwin de Rivers, with a small army, hides cowering behind the city walls as the King of England closes in on the rebellious troops to quash the deadly inferno of rebellion. This is not an England we know. This is an England in the deadly mists of civil war. I'm James Cotter, and this is the first episode of my History of Exeter. I'm stood in one of Exeter's most historic locations, Rougemount Castle. Built in 1067 by William the Conqueror as a reminder to the inhabitants of Exeter of who was now king. And after an 18-day siege took place between the newly crowned king and loyal followers of King Harold, led by his mother, who was living in the city, resulted in the surrender of Exeter, in which King William swore an oath not to harm the city. However, William quickly arranged for the building of Rougemount Castle to ensure the city's compliance in the future. It was then ironic that almost 70 years later, King William's grandson, Stephen, was about to lay siege to the very same castle his grandfather built to quash any such rebellion. Where do I start with a civil war that lasted for over 19 years and for a while brought a country to its knees? Well, like most of British history, this conflict was based around a family feud for power and money. When King Henry I died in 1135, he had no son or heir, although he did have a daughter, Matilda. Now at that time you must remember there had never been a woman ruler, no Queen Elizabeth, no Queen Victoria, and certainly no Iron Lady. So when King Henry passed away, this allowed Henry's nephew, Stephen, to claim the throne. This wasn't the end of the story, this was only the beginning, as almost immediately after Stephen had been crowned king, a struggle between Henry's daughter and the new king broke out, resulting in a long civil war known as the Anarchy. The country was split into two. Some were on the side of Stephen's, some on the side of Matilda's. One man who was certainly on the side of Matilda's was the first Earl of Devon, Baldwin de Rivers, who seized Exeter and hid within the compound of Rougemount Castle. King Stephen, so incensed by this blatant act of treason, marched west with an army to do battle with the Earl. But when he arrived, he realised he had been for a long wait. To be precise, 3 months. So the king came here, to New Castle, which is now known James Castle. Today, all that remains is the outlines of the castle, which was the home of King Stephen and his army for 3 months during the siege. This is what historians believe it would have looked like. A small wooden fortification with a flowing reservoir acting as a makeshift moat. In truth, the actual siege was tediously dull, and the only reason de Rivers surrendered was not due to a great epic battle, or even when the free wells in the city ran dry, but only once the last supplies of wine in the garrison that they were using for baking, drinking and cooking ran out. It is often difficult to sum up a period of history in a few words, as there are so many different turns of events and so many different versions of the same story. One account of the Civil War, from a monk in the parish of Peterborough, said of the Anarchy, "This and more we suffered, 19 winters of our sin." Whereas the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle provides a more favourable picture of Stephen, but depicts a turbulent reign. In the days of this king, there was nothing but strife, evil and robbery, for quickly the great men who were traitors rose against him. When the traitors saw that Stephen was a good-humoured, kindly and easy-going man who inflicted no punishment, then they committed all manner of horrible crimes. And so it lasted for 19 years while Stephen was king, till the land was all undone and darkened with such deeds, and men said openly that Christ and his angels slept.